I never thought I'd end up writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for almost 10 years. We met in college, got married right after, and for a while, everything seemed perfect, or at least close to it. She was the woman I'd always dreamed of: beautiful, smart, fiery, and funny. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but I trusted her. Or at least I thought I did. Looking back now, I should have seen the signs. The way she started to act different a few months before the wedding, distant and secretive. She'd hide her phone, get defensive when I asked about her day, and there were times she'd be strangely tight-lipped about her whereabouts. I brushed it off, told myself she was just stressed out about the upcoming wedding or busy with work. But deep down, I knew something was off. The real wake-up call came about a week ago. It was small at first, just a gut feeling, the kind that gnaws at you but you shrug off. I came home early from work, and I noticed her phone was left on the kitchen counter, face down. Normally she'd keep it in her purse or on the nightstand, but this time it was just sitting there, weirdly accessible. I couldn't help myself. I picked it up, and that's when I saw the message thread. It wasn't much at first glance, just some flirtatious nonsense, a few "can't wait to see you tonight" and some "miss you already." But then I saw the name Tommy. That was the name of my best man, my best friend, my brother from another mother. That's when my stomach dropped. I had an instinct, a terrible suspicion, but seeing it written out in black and white made everything hit me like a truck. I didn't say anything that night. I just sat there staring at the screen while my mind scrambled. I replayed every moment with Lisa, every suspicious glance, every little lie she told me over the last few weeks. It all clicked into place. She'd been sneaky, secretive, and oddly defensive whenever I brought up Tommy or the wedding plans. And now I knew why. She had been sleeping with him the night before our wedding, no less. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I stayed up, scrolling through her messages, each one more painful than the last. It wasn't just a single slip-up or a moment of weakness. It was a full-blown affair, and she was lying to me about it for years. The betrayal cut deep, but what made it worse? The way she lied about everything, from the little things like where she was at night to the bigger ones like her feelings for me. She'd been playing me for years, and I'd been too blind or too trusting to see it. The next morning, I decided I couldn't let this go. I needed the truth face to face, so I waited for her to come home. When she finally did, I confronted her right in the living room. "Lisa," I said, my voice cold and trembling, "we need to talk." She looked surprised, then defensive. That was her usual response: the "you're overreacting," or "I don't know what you're talking about." But I had enough. I pulled out her phone and showed her the messages. Her face changed, her eyes darted, and she started to lie, quick, sharp, dismissive. She told me it was all innocent, just some stupid flirtation, that Tommy was just a friend, that she didn't mean anything by it. I was furious. How could she sit there and lie to my face after all this? After everything I'd done for her, all the trust I'd given her? I felt betrayed, sick, and completely lost. I wanted to believe her, I really did, but the truth was staring me right in the face. The woman I thought I knew turned out to be someone else altogether. Someone who'd been cheating on me with my best man, right under my nose. That day was like living in a nightmare. I knew I had to decide what I was going to do. I couldn't keep pretending that everything was okay, not anymore. I wanted to scream, cry, break something, but I also knew I had to keep my composure. I needed to think about what this meant for me, for us, for everything I believed in. And honestly, I didn't have a clear answer yet. All I knew was that my world had just shattered, and I was standing there, feeling like I was drowning in betrayal. After I confronted Lisa, she didn't really seem sorry. Not in a genuine way, at least. She was more annoyed that I found out than remorseful that she'd been lying for years. Her response was, "You're overreacting, Jake. It's just sex, and it was a stupid mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen again." She kept saying that like it would make everything okay, but I saw right through her bullshit. That was her usual defense: deny, deflect, lie. She's good at it. She's bitchy when she feels cornered, and that day, she was no different. I remember feeling so many things at once: anger, hurt, disgust. I wanted to explode, to yell at her, to make her feel guilty, but I also felt this deep, aching sadness. The kind that makes your chest tighten and your stomach turn. I couldn't believe I'd been living with a woman who slept with my best friend and lied about it for so long. That's the kind of betrayal that cuts so deep, you start questioning everything. Was the love real? Was the marriage a lie? Hell, was I just an idiot for trusting her at all? She kept trying to shrug it off, saying, "It doesn't mean anything, it was just sex. Tommy's never meant anything to me. You're blowing this out of proportion." Every word felt like a slap. I wanted to believe her at first, but the evidence was there, screaming in my face. It wasn't just some fling. This was something they'd been sneaking around about for years. I remember her telling me she was working late, going out with friends, or visiting her sister. But all along, she was with Tommy, and she'd been lying every step of the way. I spent the next few days in a fog. Mostly, I was angry at myself for not noticing sooner, for not seeing the signs, for giving her the benefit of the doubt. Honestly, I kept asking myself how I missed it, how I never suspected Tommy was capable of this, how Lisa managed to keep this secret for so long. And then the guilt crept in. Maybe I wasn't enough, maybe I'd been a bad husband, maybe I was just too blind to see what was happening right under my nose. I tried to keep it together around her. We still had to plan the wedding after all. But every time I saw her, I felt like I was going to lose my mind. I kept asking myself, why her? Why Tommy? They had been close friends, and I never thought he'd do something like this. My best man. The guy I trusted to stand by me. That betrayal was the worst part, knowing that the person I considered a brother had stabbed me in the back like that, right before the biggest day of my life. I started to gather evidence, more than just those messages. I needed proof, something concrete I could hold onto if I decided to confront her again or walk away. I found some photos on her phone, some of her and Tommy together, clearly more than just friends, some that looked recent. I also found her bank records, which showed her meeting him late at night a few times. It was all there, I just had to connect the dots. The more I dug, the more sick I felt. This wasn't just a mistake or some drunken lapse, it was calculated. They planned things out. I started to question everything she told me. The way she'd lie with a smile on her face, her bitchy attitude when she thought she was getting away with something. She's good at hiding her true self, but I was finally seeing her for who she really is. A liar, a cheater, a manipulator. And yet part of me still clung to hope that maybe she'd come clean, admit everything, and we could somehow work through it. But deep down, I knew better. I knew this was just the beginning of something much worse. I could feel it in my gut. This wasn't just some one-time mistake. It was a pattern of deceit, and I had to decide what I was going to do about it. The days that followed were a blur. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, her lies, Tommy's stupid grin in those pictures. I kept replaying that moment of discovery, wishing I could undo it, wish I'd never found that damn phone. It was like a switch had been flipped, and everything I believed in was crumbling. The wedding was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, but now all I could think about was how everything was just a lie. Lisa, of course, kept up her act, pretending everything was fine, acting like I was overreacting. She'd throw tantrums, call me paranoid, accuse me of ruining her life. She'd say, "You're crazy, Jake. You're being ridiculous. I love you, but I'm not some cheating bitch." That's how she always spun it, like I was the one with the problem, not her. I guess her bitchy attitude was her defense mechanism, but honestly, I was sick of her bullshit. The way she twisted everything to make me look like the villain, even when I was the one betrayed. I decided I couldn't keep living like this. I had to make a choice. I started considering whether I wanted to stay or leave. The thought of walking away from 10 years of my life with her was terrifying, but the thought of staying with her and pretending everything was okay was even worse. I knew I'd never be able to trust her again. Every time I looked at her, I saw a liar, a manipulator, someone who had been sleeping with my best friend and lying about it for years. One night, I finally snapped. I sat her down and told her I knew everything. I showed her the other pictures, the bank records, the messages. I told her how much she'd hurt me, how I felt like a fool for not seeing it sooner. Her response was classic Lisa. She played the victim, crying, saying she never meant to hurt me, that she was just weak, that Tommy meant nothing to her. She insisted that it was a mistake, a stupid one-time thing, and that she still loved me. But I could see through her lies now. Her tears didn't feel genuine, just more manipulation. That conversation ended with her trying to guilt-trip me, saying I was overreacting and that I should forgive her, that she was sorry and maybe we could work this out. I was furious. How could she be so callous? After everything, she still wanted to save her own ass, not even considering how much she'd broken me. I told her I needed time to think, that I couldn't just forgive her overnight. She threw a fit, called me controlling, said I was overreacting. That was her go-to move: deflect, deny, dismiss. The next few days were brutal. I was torn between anger and sadness. I started talking to a friend about what happened, trying to figure out what my next move should be. Part of me wanted to confront Tommy, but I knew that wouldn't fix anything. I just felt this overwhelming sense of betrayal, by her, by him, by everyone I trusted. I kept asking myself how I could have been so blind, how I didn't see the signs. It's like I had the pieces all along, but I chose to ignore them because I loved her. Or maybe because I didn't want to face the truth. One thing I couldn't shake was the thought of what to do next. Should I stay? Should I leave? I started imagining my life without her, the emptiness that would follow, the loneliness. But then I also pictured a future where I'd be constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering which lie was next, which secret was hiding. That's when I realized I couldn't live like that. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay, not when I knew the real truth. So I decided I'd give her one last chance to come clean, to tell me the full story, or I'd walk away. I needed honesty, not more lies. I couldn't rebuild what was broken, not with her. The trust was shattered beyond repair. And as much as it hurt, I knew I had to do what was best for me, even if that meant starting over alone. Just thinking about it made me feel numb, like I was already half dead inside. But deep down, I knew I had no choice. It was either fight for myself or drown in her lies forever. The night I finally told her she had to come clean for real was the night everything changed. I sat her down again, this time more serious than ever. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "Lisa, I can't keep living like this. I need the truth, all of it. No more bullshit, no more lies. If you can't tell me everything, then I can't stay. I need to know exactly what happened, who you really are, and if I can ever trust you again." She looked at me, tears streaming down her face, but her expression was defiant. "Jake," she said, voice trembling, "you're overreacting. I swear it's just sex. It meant nothing. Tommy's just a friend, always has been. I made a mistake, I was stupid, but I love you. I don't want to lose everything because of some stupid fling." Her words felt hollow. I could see the bitchy edge in her voice, like she was trying to manipulate me into feeling sorry for her. I didn't buy it. Not anymore. I told her I needed her to tell me the truth now, or I was done. She hesitated, then finally broke down. She admitted she'd slept with Tommy the night before the wedding, that she'd been with him more times than I'd suspected, and that they'd kept it secret for years because she knew I'd lose my mind. She said she'd lied because she was scared, because she knew I'd be furious and she thought she could control it, hide it. But she was wrong. She'd been caught and now everything was unraveling. Hearing her confess that way, I felt a flood of emotions: anger, heartbreak, disbelief. But the worst was the sense of betrayal. All those years I'd believed in her, trusted her, built my life around her, and it was all a lie. The woman I married, supposedly my perfect partner, had been sleeping with my best man while we were planning our future. That was a punch to the gut I couldn't recover from quickly. I told her I needed space, that I couldn't be around her right now. I went to my bedroom and closed the door. I sat there staring at the wall, trying to process what I'd just heard. My mind was racing, question after question. How long had she been cheating on me? How many nights was she with Tommy? Had they ever been caught? I felt so stupid for ever trusting her. It was like a bad joke that kept getting worse. In the darkness, I kept thinking about Tommy, my supposed best friend. How could he do this to me? We'd been through so much together, shared everything, had each other's backs, or so I thought. The thought of him sleeping with Lisa just hours before I was supposed to marry her, knowing she was lying about everything, made me want to scream. How could they both be so selfish, so reckless? I was angry at myself, too. How did I miss all this? Was I blind? Was I so desperate for things to work out that I ignored the signs? I started to wonder if I'd been just a backup, a safety net for Lisa, while she was secretly looking for something more exciting. All those little things she said, her defensiveness, her secret. Calls I'd brushed off, thinking she was just stressed or busy. Now I saw it was all part of a bigger picture I'd refused to look at. That night I made a decision. I couldn't stay with her. I couldn't trust her anymore, not even a little. It was over. I would leave when I was ready, but I knew I had to do it. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. I felt broken, like my soul was shattered into 1,000 pieces, but I also felt a strange sense of relief. At least now I knew the truth. And truth, as painful as it was better than living in a lie. I started planning my next steps. I called a friend, told him what happened, and he offered to help me get some space. I knew I needed to get out of that house, away from Lisa's bitchy attitude and her manipulations. I had to find a way to start healing, even if it seemed impossible right now. Every part of me wanted to lash out, to confront Tommy, to make her pay, but I knew I had to be smarter than that. Revenge was tempting, but I wasn't stupid. I wanted to do the right thing, at least for myself. The day I finally moved out felt like the beginning of a new chapter, but honestly, it was more like the end of everything I knew. I packed my things quietly, not even bothering to say goodbye. No point. She was still in the house, probably spinning her lies, pretending she didn't know I was leaving. I felt numb as I carried box after box, thinking about how she'd betrayed me, how she'd lied for years, and how I had been such a fool to trust her. The moment I closed the door behind me, a strange mix of relief and heartbreak washed over me. I was finally free from her bitchy attitude, her lies, her manipulations. But at the same time, I felt like I'd lost a part of myself. I kept replaying the memories, the good times, the bad times, the moments I thought she loved me. All of it now seemed hollow, like a cruel joke. The woman I'd married, the woman I'd loved, was gone, replaced by someone who'd sleep with my best man the night before our wedding and then lie her ass off about it. For days I stayed with that friend I called, trying to get my head straight. I told him everything, the messages, her confessions, the pictures. He was furious too, said he'd never do something like that and that Lisa had always been bitchy and manipulative, even back in college. It was hard to hear that, but honestly, part of me had suspected it all along. Now I just had proof. I started to realize I wasn't alone in feeling betrayed. I wasn't the only one who'd been played. Lisa had been lying, cheating, and manipulating everyone around her. I felt angry at Tommy, too, my supposed best friend. How could he do this? How could he sleep with my wife and then act like it was nothing? I kept thinking about the nights she'd sneaked out, the secret meetings, the lies she told me about her work trips or girls' nights. It was all a cover-up for her affair with Tommy. I knew I had to decide what to do next. The idea of confronting her again was tempting, but I also knew that wouldn't fix anything. Her lying had reached a point where trust was completely broken. I could imagine building that again, not with her. I'd been a fool for so long, but I finally saw her for who she really was, an insecure, bitchy woman who'd been sleeping around and lying about it. And Tommy, that traitor, that idiot who called himself my best friend, had just proven he wasn't worth shit either. So I started planning my future. I reached out to a lawyer, looked into my options: divorce, separation, whatever would get me out of this mess. I didn't want her to get a dime from me, not after what she'd done. Honestly, part of me wanted to see her miserable, to make her feel the pain she'd inflicted on me. But I knew revenge wouldn't fix anything. It wouldn't bring back the years I thought we had or erase the betrayal. It was just a way to numb the pain for a little while. Throughout all this, I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I'm stronger than I thought, that I don't need someone who lies and manipulates me. I realized that my happiness doesn't depend on her or anyone else who doesn't deserve it. The trust I once had is gone, and maybe it's better that way. I'll never forget the feeling of betrayal, but I also know I can survive it. The pain will fade eventually. Time will heal the wounds, and I'll find a new path, one that doesn't include her bitchy, lying face. Honestly, I don't have it all figured out yet, but I do know one thing. I've learned to value myself more. No more putting up with bullshit, no more excuses for people who don't deserve my trust. I'm starting over, and while it hurts like hell, I'm finally free from the lies she tried to sell me all these years. That's what hurts the most, maybe. The realization that I was so blind that I loved a woman who was nothing like who she pretended to be. But now I'm done. Done with her, done with the betrayal, and ready to move on. Looking back now, I realize I'm still healing from all of this, but I've come to accept one thing. I'm finally free from her. From her bitchy attitude, her lies, her manipulations, and her betrayal. For the first time in a long while, I feel like I can breathe again, though the scars will still be there for a while. It's strange how something so painful can ultimately teach you what you're really made of. I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought, that I deserve honesty and respect, and that I don't need to hold on to someone who only brings me pain. I won't lie. There are days when I still feel angry, days when I get flashes of her bitchy smirk and it makes my stomach turn. But I keep telling myself that I'm better off without her. I've started focusing on myself, on rebuilding my life from the ground up. I've started going to the gym again, reconnecting with old friends and trying to find joy in the little things. It's a slow process, and I know it'll take time to fully move on, but I'm determined. One thing I've learned from all this is how important it is to trust your gut. Don't ignore the signs, even if you love someone. Don't brush off that nagging feeling that something's off. Because in the end, the truth always finds a way out. And when it does, it hits harder than you could ever imagine. I wish I had seen through her sooner, but maybe. It was better I found out now instead of later when the damage would have been even worse. To anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, you have to remember that you're not alone. Betrayal hurts, but it also opens your eyes to what's real and what's not. Don't stay in a situation where you're being lied to, manipulated, or used. You deserve honesty, respect, and kindness. It's okay to feel broken right now. It's okay to cry, to be angry, to feel lost. But don't let that define you. Use it as a foundation to build something stronger, something that's truly yours. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I'm finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'll never forget the pain, but I'll also never forget that I survived it. And somehow, that makes me feel more alive than I have in years. Lisa and Tommy might have tried to destroy me, but they only made me realize my own strength. The trust is gone, yes, but in its place is a newfound respect for myself. And that's something I'll carry forever. So, if you're out there feeling betrayed and broken, remember it's not the end. It's just the beginning of a new chapter, one where you put yourself first, where you heal, and where you finally get to be happy again. Because you deserve that, more than anything.